All right. So this week, our Facebook Live is not actually live this week.
Right.
We're not live because one of us is not in town. Okay, actually, it's me. I'm out of town. So I did get some time with one of my favorites, Dr. Nami Rao. Dr. Rao's been practicing 20 years, 20 some odd
Close to
years?
15.
15 years. She's done a lot in 15 years. She's remarkable, works a lot with children, adolescents, and adults. You're like the pediatrician that still sees 30 and 40-year-old people.
I'd like not to think of it that way, but sure.
But my point is, you're so awesome that you start working with a lot of these boys and girls. When they're boys and girls,
Yes.
they get to college, which we're going to talk about today, but then they start to get in their 20s, they get married, they're young adults, and they stay with you. She does amazing work. That's
Thank you.
true.
Thank you.
That she can't argue about.
Thank
So, don't send questions because this is pre-recorded right now. I'm hiking somewhere in Colorado. So, but today, I want to talk about, we had talked the last time we did Facebook Live about the college students and the challenges that college students face. You see a lot of them. We see a lot of them. Some of you are them. And we wanted to talk about anxiety in particular.
Yes.
Because when you look at it statistically, a lot of times people guess, what's the biggest struggle we have when it comes to our mental health? It's not depression, it's not substances, it's actually anxiety.
I get those calls quite a bit, actually. There's some calls where I think this is where you were going with that, where anxiety presents the first time around, as in the voicemail on the message. You know, the message is where a parent says, hey, you've known Amy for 5 years and you've seen her do well and she has a learning issue, or she's struggled to some social stuff like with friends and changing in friend groups, but now she's stalling. She can't keep up with her work, or she's worrying all the time. She's sending me these text messages. She's sitting in class and she can't make it. What's going on?
Yeah. Now, do you see those? How much of those do you see as adults, young adults, from
Emerging adults.
From high school to college? Because college is so different now, and there's a lot of moms and dads know and we've talked.
Yeah.
There's so much more pressure, financially, academically, socially. Anxiety is the number one reason that young adults seek counseling or struggle in college. It's anxiety.
Which is what the Penn State sixth report was.
Yes.
Where they talked about more than 100,000 students in college seeking mental health treatment in like 140 colleges and universities across. And their top 10, the remarkable part was anxiety was the number one presenting complaint for a college student to seek mental health.
Yeah.
Which is staggering.
It is. So one of the questions that we got was, what's the difference? And I see this even in adults, surprisingly. Yeah. It's almost like when we say anxiety, people think and pull up a certain picture or image. You know, you say anxious, and it's usually always extreme.
Right.
But what's the difference between anxiety and worry? Some of it's healthy, but how do people know the difference between those two?
So anxiety will be you are worried about, you have anxious thoughts, as in repetitive, perseverative thoughts that you cannot stop, and you're in anticipation, worrying about the feeling of anxiety more days than not in a week.
Yeah.
It presents with, so worry is, as opposed to, worry is, I have a test tomorrow, or I have a social event tomorrow, or a dance, or so-and-so, I don't know who I'm going with, or so-and-so test tomorrow, or this new teacher, I missed the last class, and I don't have the notes, I don't know how prepared I am. That's worry.
Yeah.
We all have it. Well, some more than others.
But not naming names. No names.
No, of course not. Why would you do that? But anxiety gets in the way. I think any therapist, counselor, psychiatrist, professional in the mental health field will distinguish that this is a disorder now because it is impacting academic and social and other important areas of functioning.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes anxiety. Now we've got and in like distinguishing between sort of, so this is not Amy or Jim or worrying about a test or a social event, but it's they're sitting in class and they cannot, because of what's going on in their head, focus on the teacher and what they just said, or they leave the class and they rush in the hallway staring at their phone because they cannot for the life of them look up, and their heart is beating out of their chest, they can't breathe, they're sweaty, and this is presenting in more than one situation.
Yeah.
More than one days over periods of time. And this is not like part of what you and I do separately is with the distinguishing that this is not a medical condition. This is not med or substance or alcohol induced.
Right.
This is not just one unique situation that was today or just one rare occasion, that this is actually persisting over days and hours.
Yeah.
And it's paralyzing. So, and also, I think some of the things what would be useful to know with anxiety is that so many times it can present in very contrasting ways. As in restlessness or fatigue.
Yeah. Sort of the opposite, the bookends.
Which is hard to kind of think of. This is my kid who's always on the couch, or he comes in the office, or comes in at home and parks his car and walks up, I don't see him again for the rest of the evening. Like, why is he always tired? Is he, what's happening to him? And he's overwhelmed. He's keeping so much on his mind that he's so anxious that he can't. I ask so many times with people that I work with, sometimes will say, oh, Dr. Rao, you always ask that. Where
I want to know, now I want to know what you're always asking.
But as in, what does your anxiety look like?
Oh.
So I will say, I've seen anxiety look like on both sides. So I've seen the anxious person who's talking too fast, and I've seen the anxious person who has so much going on in their mind that they don't say a word. Is their anxiety hyperverbal? Is their anxiety so quiet and paralyzing?
I think that's why we miss it. I think it's one of the reasons we miss it.
Because it presents so...
It presents very different, and we tend to think of it in a narrow way of a panic attack.
Right.
A lot of people never have panic attacks. Most people don't have panic attacks. Or a phobia. I have a fear of tests. I have test anxiety. Okay, those are very specific. Those are anxiety, but they're very specific. And it's this,
or obsessive compulsive.
I count things, I check things, I watch things. That's a type of anxiety.
Correct.
But it's this generalized anxiety that's there every day. And as you said, I think one of the things that's helpful that I've noticed, people start to resonate of, well, I thought I just worried. Yeah. Or you'll hear people say, my parents were worriers.
Right. Oftentimes. As in, why should we... And you'll see it even as... where parents will come in and one of the parents will say, oh, I did that.
Note to self, if you're bringing your college student to NAMI, be careful with that. Oh, well, I do that too.
She will make a note of it.
First, you might want to check out, is this normal or do I have? Because a lot of times we just don't know it.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think that's where you're going with. Sometimes I just thought of myself as a worrier, but it's on all these subjects.
Correct.
I'm frenetic. I have nervous energy. Sometimes people say, I have nervous energy.
Yes.
You're like, that's kind of telling.
Or that this is how I keep myself organized.
Yeah.
I don't multitask. I'm just keeping several burners running at the same time, and it works for me. So it's really not anxiety, or where I interrupt somebody in the middle of their sentence because I have this emerging just thought what needs to be said right the second, because but this is who I am.
So if sometimes kids get it.
Correct.
Because sometimes things run in families. We also model things.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to keep an eye on time.
Sure.
When you think about, I think it's so helpful you know, one of the things I've noticed, and I said this too, is when I say anxiety or people say anxiety, they're like, no. But as you tease out, what does it look like? And I so appreciate you doing that. Hugely helpful. But then it's, so what do I do? And how treatable? And some of the medications, and we have these discussions all the time with folks, some medications are addictive. Some are sedating. So how do people step in and manage it? Because sometimes it gets so debilitating, it jeopardizes people staying at school or even working. It can impair our performance as well as our relationships.
Before we go even to the medicine part, and I definitely want to talk about the medicine part, is if we have time.
Yeah.
Is every college, and we're talking about college students, so every college has a counseling and mental health, or a counseling and psychological services. It's called either CAPS or mental health clinic or office, and there will be. So if you're worried as a parent, or if you're worried as a student that is this what you're struggling with, get yourself there. Get yourself there and sit down with a therapist and go over just what your day looks like, what kind of symptoms you're having, how much sleep do you get, are you hydrating yourself? That takes me to the other piece of it, which is, and I laugh again because people who worked with me say this often. I was like, here she goes. That if it's already hard, don't make it harder for yourself by, when you have a tough class or you have a tough relationship or a tough point in your relationship, don't make it harder by, don't sleep deprive yourself. Don't dehydrate yourself. Like, watch for your sleep. Hydrate yourself. Put some food on your plate. Eat a couple of times. Put some protein on your plate. Don't make it harder by trying to drink that night. Trying to, don't set yourself up. This is already hard. So pay attention to,
so great.
And what I think a lot of people now I think they're getting to by themselves and sort of are open to this idea when I say, when it's going this fast, you can slow it down.
I always say user error. They're like, who's filling your schedule out? Yeah, it's me. It's me.
Yes, you can slow it down, or even in the moment off, you're sitting there and the teacher is talking, and you're sitting, you're staring at your pen, you haven't written a word, and this is halfway into the class, and you see everybody else jotting down. You're like, okay, close your eyes. It's okay. Nobody's looking. Just breathe, silence, and you'll get to your rhythm. And then, great. Before you talked about the medicine, so medicines are definitely options. And the kinds of medications, but even before that, I think assessment is necessary.
Huge. No, it's huge.
Assessment, and then rule out the big things. Rule out medications causing the problem, rule out substances, rule out this is not environmental, you're not setting yourself up in a way that you haven't thought about, and that this is worth either talking about or treating. So either talking about or treating with, like, biofeedback or medication assessment. But we can talk about medicine then. You smile.
No, I'm smiling because I know we're short on time, and I'm like, I know what people, but I love your answer, and that's what makes her so awesome, because you're the psychiatrist, I'm the psychologist, but I love, and I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think great psychiatrists, and this is what people need to look for in great psychiatrists, are people like you that look at all the other things that we do a lot of the times to make our struggles more difficult. And what I love is that you're like, hey, let's do these things first. You're going to, and you should expect to get some benefits from them. So that you can struggle well when you need to struggle well, which sounds like a great book title.
No.
I haven't even told that. There'll be more on that coming. Book.
It's a plug.
But let's do those things first. So that's why I love your answer, and then we'll look at some of those things that we need to look at. But we'll stop there. It just means I'm going to have her back at some point. I'm going to steal your time. Dr. Namrata Rao, she's wonderful. Next time on our Facebook Live, we're having Ken Osayan back again. So we'll touch on. He's so great. So don't miss next time. We'll be back live.